If you're an IMG, you just failed the SCA, this might be the most important video you watch this year. Failing the SCA doesn't mean you're a bad doctor, but if you repeat the same preparation, you might fail again. And I don't want that to happen to you. In the next few minutes, I'll show you how my trainees went from failing the exam to scoring 99. Here's the truth. Most candidates have a sound knowledge base, but the problem is they keep practicing and reinforce these bad behaviors without knowing it. If you can't see it, just working harder, practicing more cases, sacrificing your evening and weekend is not going to lead to progress. Let me tell you about Dr. Lawrence, an IMG who genuinely thought he would pass his exam. But when he checked his result, he saw 69. Not enough to pass, not enough to move forward.
I was transitioning to be a full-time GP. I'd already prepared for that. And then unfortunately, I failed my exams, which was not something I'd expected.
He was shell-shocked because he thought his consultation was safe, but the results was not matching what he thought. And this was the first exam in his career that he failed. It was really painful. It took him months to pick himself up. It had implication on his visa.
I was quite devastated, quite heartbroken.
Lawrence's confidence was crushed and he didn't know whether he would pass his exam and become a GP. Recently, an IMG reached out to me. He looked exhausted after sitting the SCA exam 3 times. And he said to me, I've tried everything, courses, readings, marks, and I'm working the hardest I can. Still, I fail. I don't understand why I fail. This is where most researchers go wrong. They don't have a clear strategy. They don't have a clear system. And they do the same old things. And the results is the same. Here's 3 patterns I've seen among research candidates who are stuck in training. The first one, the blind spots are not being fixed. So they keep doing the same thing and they think that they're doing well and they think that they're making progress. But the problem is they don't have self-awareness. They can't see what they can't see. And this unknown leads to missing the pass by a few marks. This is where self-awareness separates the top candidates who understand that they might not be aware about something and they seek constructive feedback to make sure that they have a broader perspective on how they're consulting. Because if you think that you're doing well, then when you're receiving this feedback, you're not really open to change because this is what you think and you may be listening selectively. The second pattern is knowing that you're not doing something right, but not unlearning these old behaviors and keep doing it and reinforcing these bad habits. This ends up being really difficult to unlearn and embed good practice because if you've learned this for many years and it's becoming ingrained, then it's really difficult to change these behaviors. And this is quite common among doctors who have a background in hospital. They tend to be very doctor-centered in their approach. They don't understand how to elicit eyes and readdress it. They don't make a holistic plan, and this really affects their interpersonal skills. The third pattern is no feedback loop to correct poor behaviors. Let me give you an example. A GP trainee got advice, feedback on a case that he's done. And he's been told that you need to be more person-centered, you need to share the decision-making. And he was told it's really important to give options. And then what happened is that there's a case where there's a patient who really needs an admission. The doctor is not really taking the responsibility and informing the patient of the risk and just giving options. So they're telling the patient, we can try and do some blood tests. That's not really the best management plan for the patient. It's not just sharing options, but involving the patient in the decision making and helping the patient to understand the risks as well, so the patient can make an informed decision. Because if you're just giving the patient a bunch of options, then the patient might not know what are the risks, what are the things that you need to do. So having that feedback loop will help you because then it's not just giving feedback on one occasion, but then when you have implemented the changes, then you can see whether you have overcorrected for it or maybe you have not corrected enough so that you can refine and polish your consultation. Most research candidates are stuck in one of these patterns, and this is why they're stuck in training, having to resit the exam, but don't really understand why they're failing the exam. Let me tell you about Dr. Joe. Everyone thought that he was going to pass. He was a med reg, so he had really good knowledge base. But when he found out about his results, he was disappointed. So he sought help. After seeking help, we realized there was a big problem in his consultation. The 2 problems were lack of confidence and poor time management. If he'd been clocking patients for an hour in hospital setting, when it comes to GP consultation, it was really hard for him to compress everything within 12 minutes.
What should I ask? What should I ask next rather than focusing on the patient itself, which it's not usually the case with the real life patient, but this is something I have to get through. So I think that was the main challenges where I was having a lot of anxiety during the exam. essentially, understand me failing the first time around makes the second one a lot more anxiety-inducing as well.
After failing his exam, his confidence also dropped. And he had to go on medication and he couldn't really manage his anxiety. And if you don't perform well under exam condition, this is a big problem because you have to show your best side and you know that you're going to be assessed. And some candidates really struggle with that. Due to the time pressure, Dr. Joe was tense and he rushed his clinical management. He was overthinking. Once we fixed Dr. Joe's structure and showed him how to open the consultation, think about the three buckets: idea, concern, expectation, biomedical, and psychosocial, he was able to slow down and take a different approach. And his confidence level came back up.
When I used to be anxious is if I, let's say, if the consultation or the script is not going the way that I want to be, and then I anxious. But you told me at one point that as a GP, we will be managing uncertainty. So I think I flipped the switch in me that I embrace the uncertainty. And by doing that, mainly, I started enjoying doing the cases a lot better.
He went on to pass the exam with confidence, and he's now a newly qualified GP.
Are you feeling anxious about the SCA preparation? Maybe you're not getting constructive feedback, you don't know whether you're doing the right thing. If you're looking for one-to-one support, I'd love to help you. Click the link down the description below to book a call with me to see how I can help you to pass your exam.
Recently, I worked with a GP trainee who was doubting himself. After failing in the RCA and the SCA 4 times, he was not sure whether he will become a GP. He's been stuck in training for 2 years, missing a pass by a handful of marks.
People who were supporting me in the surgery, they were always very supportive and say, "Oh yeah, you failed by very, very close margins." So, and that's the reason I think they supported me for my exceptional attempt. And so this time, yes, stakes were really high. But again, at the same time, it was reassuring that, okay, failing by 1.5 marks shouldn't be that difficult. But actually, it was difficult because there was nothing much very clear where to improve and what to do with that.
The cost was significant, £6,000 just in exam fees, and the stress on his family and himself, and also the waste of 2 years of his life where he could do other things. When I deconstructed Muhammad's consultation, I could see these 3 patterns I discussed with you earlier. So blind spot were not being fixed. He was actually reinforcing these bad behaviors, and also nobody had set up this feedback loop so that he could refine his consultation. This is what Dr. Muhammad said.
When I was doing consultation, I remember, okay, no, why am I asking this question? That's what Erwin would say. Why are you doing this? So I think it was then just practice with that in mind, and didn't matter what case comes or whatever is the case which I know or I don't know, somehow just get the structure right and then just fill it with whatever knowledge you have in a proper way. And it did improve, I must say, in the last 6 weeks to 2 months, because even when I was doing cases in the surgery, with the supervisors, he said, yeah, there's improvement. There's a huge improvement coming on.
With personalized support and targeted correction, Muhammad went on to score 85 on his 5th sitting.
This is my result, and it was it's a sense of achievement, really. The journey was quite long, and last almost 1.5 2 years were constantly this never-ending sort of struggle. So yeah, it was worth all the struggle. And as you said, before when we met in the first introductory sessions, that it changes your perspective.
If you fail the SCA, it doesn't mean you're not good enough. Perhaps your preparation failed you. Nobody showed you the blueprint that hundreds of IMGs have used to pass the SCA exam. If you change your approach, if you like Dr. Muhammad, like Dr. Joe, then there's a high chance that next time you sit your exam, you're not going to be hating the same problems, but you're going to go in with the confidence that will help you to score well, and you're going to shine on the day of your results. But for this to work, first, you need to have clarity. If you're completely stuck, you're lost, you don't know what you're doing wrong, then you won't get the outcome that you want. I've opened up a few spaces to book a call with me, have a chat with me, see whether I can help you. And if you're a good fit for the one-to-one, then we can work together, see how we can unlock your career. Click the link down in the description, and I look forward to speaking with you.
When I read out to you, in fact, I would say it helped me a lot because I realized that I had a lot of self-doubt. I had lost a lot of confidence. And I remember that during our one-on-one consultations, you spent dedicated time in terms of changing that mindset. And then from what if I fail, what if I fail to how can I pass? What is needed to pass? Um, this is besides the approaches and then having one-on-one time to go through the cases, practice and all that. So it was quite, I'll be honest, it really did boost my confidence. So on the day of the exam, funny enough, I should have been panicking and all that, but I was very, confident on the day of the exam. It was more about how best I can, listen to the patient, solve their issues, and not thinking about, oh, I have to ask these questions, ask this next question, and all that. So that approach was actually good. And for me, it was that winning mindset that helped me a lot, which helped me to finally pass the exam. So I cannot recommend it enough.
If you're feeling anxious about your exam, you have self-doubt, it's really important that you work on your mindset. If you don't have the right frame of mind, then on the day of the exam, you're not going to perform. Don't just practice doing more cases, but make your practice count. Identify this unknown, and work on these areas that need improvement, and you will see the proof that you're making progress. You're going to feel more confident, and this is going to reinforce your self-belief.
How you found the insights in this video useful? You might be interested to get yourself a copy of Consultation Blueprint. This is a system that top scorers are using to pass the SCA with confidence. Click the link down in the description and get yourself a copy.
Glorious green tick passed, and I just like jumped out of my chair, and I just like proper celebrated. And then I went out my room, went into my supervisor's room, who was just logging into his account, but he could tell by my face I'd already passed. And I'd never seen him so happy. He shook my hand, and it was a really good moment because it just made all the hard work worth it.
What made you realize that you needed support when you were sitting the SCA bid?
I didn't want to fall into a trap where I would do the exam, and the exam's a lot of money, that's the reality. And I didn't want to go into the exam with a false sense of reassurance. And so what I wanted was basically what you provided, was that external sort of opinion, that really good feedback. I always go back to your talks. I looked at YouTube, and there's a lot of free resources there, very, very useful. And there's a diagram, and that's always stuck in my mind. Is the very important that feedback loop and process, which is basically burned into my memory. And I just went with the mindset, well, look, I'm going to give this everything I have. I'm not going to take any chances. I looked at your material. I have to say I was very impressed by what I saw. I got the impression that you really care and you really wanted to help. So I reached out and I said, look, Dr. Kwun, I would really appreciate you working with me, because this is where I am, and I think I needed that extra push to sit the SCA.